Take one, absenteeism.
Look, Jack, I'm sorry about this, but a bug hit me last night. I feel rotten. I can't make it in today. Yeah, I know you need me. You bet. When I feel better, I'll be back. I should be all right by tomorrow, but today is out. All right, I'll be in touch. Look, Jack, I'm sorry about this, but a bug hit me last night. I feel rotten. I can't make it in today. Yeah, I know you need me. You bet. When I feel better, I'll be back. I should be all right by tomorrow, but today is out. All right, I'll be in touch.
Same employee, same excuse. But as that employee's supervisor, could you tell which excuse was real and which was phony? It's doubtful. And once you got that call, what could you do? Make a new schedule? Reassign jobs? That's about all you can do once the phone rings. But beforehand, before the phone rang, there were steps you could have taken. There were ways to prevent the absence. And this is what we'll talk about. How you, the supervisor, can control absenteeism in your department. Legitimate or not, absenteeism is expensive. Nationally, the annual cost runs into the billions. Some absenteeism can't be prevented. Accidents do happen. People do get sick. There are emergencies. But most absenteeism is preventable, and the job of preventing it falls upon you, the supervisor. Okay, where do you start? Experts agree the logical place to begin is with your worst offenders. Half of your absenteeism is caused by as few as 10% of your employees. We'll show you how to pinpoint chronic offenders and get them back on the track. New employees are also important. Attendance habits are formed in the first 90 days of employment and are carried on as employees become veterans. We'll show you how to instill the proper attitudes right from the start. And don't forget reliable people either. You can motivate employees with good attendance so their records remain good. However, before we get into that, here are 3 important rules for dealing with absentees. 1, treat each absence seriously. 2, keep records and spot trends. 3, learn the truth, uncover the real reason for the absence. As the supervisor, you are the key factor. Your attitude is all important, which relates to rule number 1. Treat each absence seriously. If you do, so will your people.
Oh, hi, Jack. You're looking for me? Yeah, what about this morning? This morning? Oh, I was supposed to see you about being out yesterday. That's right. Why didn't you? I meant to. I guess I forgot. The work's been piled up here, and I had my mind on that. Suppose you take a break and drop by my office. Sure. I'll be right there. I called in. What more does he want?
Treating absenteeism seriously means speaking to employees after every absence, whether it's the 1st or the 50th, and showing by what you say and do just how serious the problem is.
Look, I called in. What more am I supposed to do?
See me about it, for one thing.
All right. I'm sorry.
Look, Bob, you've been here long enough to know that absenteeism is serious business. When people are out, I talk to them. You know that.
Yeah, I know, but I forgot.
Now, your last 8 months have been pretty good.
no complaints. But before that, going back to last spring, you had a bunch of absences during fishing season. Remember we had a talk about that?
Yeah, I remember, but...
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't fishing season open again yesterday?
Well, yeah, but it opened without me. I was flat on my back.
I'm not saying you weren't. It's just that I know how you like to fish. And according to the record, you were absent during fishing season, but not during the winter. Now, doesn't that look suspicious? Besides, performance reviews are coming up, and attendance is a factor. Now, I'm just trying to warn you. If you start this pattern again, it's going to affect your overall rating. You get the point?
Treat each absence seriously. If you don't, your people won't. Attendance is a factor in overall performance. Even a top producer, if absent often enough, is less valuable than an average producer who's on the job every day. Your attitude determines how much absenteeism you'll have in your department. So let your people know you won't put up with it. Let them know they'll have to face you when they return to work. Make it clear you're watching the record, which brings us to rule number 2. Keep records and spot trends.
Carson here. Hi, Fred, what's up? Your car again. What's wrong this time? Well, how soon will you know? Will you be in later? We really need you today. Right, well, do your best, and we'll see you Monday for sure. And here we are. Friday the 29th. Fred is out. Car trouble again. 2, 3. That's interesting. Today is the 4th Friday Fred's missed in the last 3 months. And all because of that car. I wonder. Either he's not very original with his excuses or he needs a new car. Well, no matter. I'd better talk to him before this thing gets any worse.
There's no question about it. To control absenteeism, you must keep records, meaningful records. It's the only way you'll know who's causing your absentee problems. Supervisors often don't keep records because they think it's too much trouble. But it's not that difficult. All you need is an attendance card for each employee, and when that employee is absent, you mark the card for the appropriate day. Here's a sample attendance card, and here's how to fill it out. Only absences are marked. The appropriate code is selected from the left side of the card, such as A for personal illness, B for family illness, E for unreported absence, P for personal business. The back of the card may be used to record details such as the employee's explanation of the absence. This system takes little time to maintain. It shows the record at a glance and lets you know when an employee was absent and why. This way you can spot a problem as it develops and deal with it before it gets out of hand. This supervisor has spotted a trend, a series of Friday absences. His next step, get to the bottom of it. Rule number 3, learn the truth about each absence.
Okay, Fred, so you heard a noise in the differential. You stopped at a gas station. You were there the rest of the day, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Where was this station?
Flanders Four Corners.
I don't get it. You weren't that far away. You knew we needed you that day. You could have gotten here somehow, but you didn't even try.
Hey, I'm sorry. I guess I was worried about the car. I got all involved with that, and I just plain forgot.
It's not the first time either.
I don't get you.
I checked the record after you called. You've been absent on Friday 4 times in the last 3 months. And all because of your car.
Hey, I can't help that.
Isn't it strange that your car only breaks down on Fridays?
Well, I didn't realize...
Well, excuses won't help, Fred. There's a pattern here I don't like. 4 days at a gas station when you should have been here at work. Maybe there's another reason for it.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe you really do have car problems. In that case, I expect you to do something about it. Or you're goofing off and you think I don't care. Well, forget that. I won't put up with it. Or there's something else you haven't told me about. If so, I'd like to hear what it is. Maybe we can do something about it. Now, what do you say?
Well, you're right. I didn't know if the car excuse would hold up, but I couldn't think of anything else. You see, there's something I have to do on Fridays. It's sort of personal.
This supervisor is closing in on the real reason for the absence. In doing so, he's used all 3 rules. Treat each absence seriously, keep records and spot trends, and learn the truth. Earlier we said the logical place to begin is with your worst offenders. These are the 10% who cause as much as half of your total absenteeism. They're called chronic absentees. Eliminate their absenteeism and you'll be much closer to your goal of minimum absenteeism. Look at this next situation, for example.
Most of my people are fine. My main problem is Smith.
Oh, a lot of absences?
Well, I can count on his missing about 12 days a year, on the average. Mostly around weekends and holidays.
That doesn't sound good. What's his excuse?
Sickness, mostly. But how many people get sick that often for just one day?
Not many. It certainly looks suspicious. Why have you put up with it?
Look, I admit I have sort of looked the other way. He's my best pattern maker, so I've tried to live with the situation.
And how far did that get you?
His absentee rate is twice what it used to be.
24 days instead of 12. Look, Chris, we can't afford that. It sounds to me like he's taking it because he thinks he can get away with it. What do you say?
I'd have to agree.
Then, no question, it's time to have a talk with him. Reach an understanding. There's no room on the payroll for a prima donna. Make that very clear.
All right, I'll talk to him. All right, Pete, I'll get right to the point. I've been looking over the attendance records, and frankly, I don't like what I see. You've been absent 12 times in a 6-month period, and it isn't even July yet.
I've been sick. It's not like I've been goofing off.
No one said you were. I'm simply concerned about this getting out of hand. At the rate you're going, you'll be absent 24 times in a 12-month period. And that's unacceptable. We simply can't afford it.
I don't get it. I'm a good worker, probably the best pattern maker you've got. You give me a job to do and I do it right the first time.
Sure you're good, but you're no help to us when you're not here.
Are you saying I haven't earned the right to a day off now and then?
Days off has nothing to do with it. When we need you, we need you. It's as simple as that. When you're not here, the job doesn't get done.
Well, that's no problem. Why couldn't you put Jimmy on the job?
Jimmy has his own work to do, and so do the others. We're paying for a first-class pattern maker, and that's you. When you're here, no problem. But if we can't depend on you, we'll simply have to find someone that we can depend on. That's it, Pete.
Okay. I get the picture.
Obviously, chronic absentees are a problem, and you can't afford them. You must get them to change their ways. This supervisor has shown us how. Don't put up with it. Once they know they can't get away with it, they'll either improve attendance or face the consequences. A similar technique is also effective with new employees. If you insist on good attendance right from the start, you'll have fewer problems later on.
Look, Ted, I know it's your first day and you've had a lot thrown at you, but there are a few things I'd like to highlight, and this is one of them. Here, take a look at it.
What is it?
A memo on absenteeism. See if you can read it.
So Ted read the memo, and this is what he saw. He had trouble reading it, and you can see why. However, you only have to see enough to get an idea of what's going on. When Ted had finished, the supervisor explained the memo.
That's the weirdest thing I ever saw.
Well, let's just say the E on the typewriter wasn't working, so the typist improvised. The letter X was substituted for the letter E.
Oh, I see.
Makes it look cockeyed, doesn't it?
Sure does. But why?
Why did I show you that?
Yeah, how come?
Well, Ted, I'll admit, it's a gimmick. But here's the point. Suppose the memo is a department, and the letter E stands for employee, any employee. When someone doesn't come to work, we have to substitute an X, and everything becomes as difficult as reading that memo. See what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
It makes things tougher all around when people don't show up for work. It's hard to compensate for sudden absences.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sure you can see it now, but it's later that I'm concerned about. Look, do me a favor. When you feel you need a day off, don't just call in sick or make up some excuse. That only messes things up. Come and talk to me and we'll try to work something out. We're a lot better off if we plan ahead, okay?
Sure, I understand.
Habits formed in the first 3 months of employment are the basis for attendance patterns in the future. So get new employees off on the right foot. Explain attendance requirements, and when absence occurs, talk about it. Stress the importance of good attendance. Do it early, and new employees won't be a problem now or in the future.
Okay, what about employees with good attendance records? Why worry about them? Because there's nothing to stop a good record from going bad except you, the supervisor. Here, an ounce of prevention pays off. After every absence, make it clear the employee was missed and the absence was costly.
Glad you're back, Tom. How are you feeling?
Not bad, but 3 days ago I thought my head was going to fall off.
That must have been some headache.
Sure was.
Tom, I was looking at the record, and you've never been absent before because of a headache.
Well, I've had headaches, but never like this one.
You saw a doctor, right?
Yes, I did.
And what did he come up with?
Nothing definite. He suggested I have my glasses checked, and he gave me a painkiller.
Did you see an eye doctor?
Not yet.
I really think you should.
Well, I've thought about it, but I've already missed 3 days. And I don't know if it's the glasses. I've only had them a year.
Maybe the glasses weren't right from the start.
That's possible.
So, let's check it out. I'd hate to see you lose any more time because of these headaches. I'm sure you don't enjoy them. So let's find out the problem and get it taken care of.
All right, I'll make an appointment as soon as I can.
Fine. Tom, let me know how it turns out.
I will.
Good employees usually have valid reasons for missing work. But there's a fine line between a real excuse and a phony one. The way to keep good employees from crossing that line is to do what this supervisor did. Reinforce the idea the employee is needed and was missed when he was out of work. There's nothing dramatic about it, but it works.
With some employees, this is enough to minimize absenteeism, but others may resist your attempts at positive motivation. You'll then be forced to think in terms of the ultimate motivator, discipline. Unfortunately, it's the only language some people understand. Okay, let's recap what we've seen. There are 3 rules for dealing with individual absentees. First, treat absenteeism seriously. You do this by seeing each employee after every absence and talking about it. You further demonstrate the seriousness by your attitude and approach to the subject. Second, keep good records and analyze them to spot trends as they develop. If you don't keep and use records, you won't know the cause and frequency of employee absence. This is the heart and the starting point of any attempt to control absenteeism. Third, learn the real reason for the absence. Some people will make excuses, but until you break through to the real reason, you won't be able to come up with a cure.
We also talked about the 3 groups on which you should focus: chronic absentees, new employees, and good employees.
Chronic absentees are the people who cause the majority of your controllable absenteeism. So concentrate on them. Take a firm stand. Improve attendance or face the consequences. New employees are important because they are forming work habits which will affect their performance throughout their working careers. Get these people started on the right foot and they won't become a problem later on. Even good attendance records can slip, so don't neglect good employees. When they've been absent, let them know they were missed.
If they know they're needed, they're less likely to stay out. These are the essential ingredients in an effective absentee control program. 3 rules for dealing with individual absentees and 3 groups on which to focus your attention. Apply these rules to the right people and the results may surprise you. You'll find you can reduce absenteeism substantially. One final thought. This film is aimed at you, the supervisor, because you're in the best position to influence absenteeism one way or the other. You know who's causing the problem. You know the personalities involved. You're on the phone listening to those excuses. Because you are the supervisor, controlling absenteeism is a job you can do best.